The Education Department has missed their July 1st deadline to help students who are suffering from severe student loan debt. Now, this was a deadline that was imposed on them by the Obama administration, or by Obama. He specifically wanted to target issues involving debt forgiveness. If certain individuals have either temporary or permanent disabilities, they are qualified for student loan debt forgiveness. However, the Education Department has either purposely or accidentally been very misleading about that, and they were supposed to help solve that problem. Unfortunately, they did not meet the deadline. So let me give you some more information on that. The administration has already put in place significant protections that ensure borrowers with credit cards and mortgages are treated fairly. We can and should do much more to give students affordable ways to meet their responsibilities and repay their loans. Now, that was a statement made by President Barack Obama back in March. Now, the Education Department apparently didn't do what Obama wanted them to do. By Wednesday, the Education Department was supposed to set higher standards for its oft-criticized debt collectors and clarify borrowers' rights when they attempt to discharge federal student loans in bankruptcy. The department was also supposed to have a plan for handling certain borrowers who receive federal disability benefits. Though many are eligible for complete debt forgiveness, some may still be making payments on federal student loans. Now, I'll give you the number later on in this story, but understand something. The Education Department has been dealing with a lot of criticism because what they do is they hire third parties, debt collectors, and these debt collectors literally break federal laws in their efforts to collect student loan repayments from students. And so they're breaking laws. The Education Department is being criticized for this. Obama knows that, and he's essentially saying, look, you have till July 1st to have a real solution to this problem. Education Department didn't meet the deadline. Second part of this is, if you have a disability and you are unable to work, how do you pay off your student loan debt? A lot of people who are on disability get benefits, right? They get money in order to survive and live because they can no longer work. Well, a certain portion of their money is now being deducted from their checks because they're being used to repay their student loans. That's not supposed to happen under current law. Again, the Education Department found no solutions for this problem.
They have, I mean, I guess it's not just the Department of Education, but they've put themselves in the rough situation where they give out all of these loans and then they need to get the money back, and so they come up with these inhumane ways to get it back. And we've, on the show before, in the past, we've played the tapes of people, the debt collectors calling people, and it's the most horrid sort of hounding and harassment, emotional torture in a lot of ways, because they're calling your family members, they're calling your employers and stuff like that, trying to get them involved in you repaying. But they have to do that because we give out these loans. Now, maybe if, like Bernie Sanders wants, we were to make these public four-year educations free, then we wouldn't have to put the Department of Education in the position of having to get those loans back.
Also, another thing to take into consideration is that when it comes to loaning money to students who want higher education, the interest rates on those loans are kind of high, right? It's upwards of 6%, depending on whether or not you are an undergrad, or if you're in graduate school, it's even more expensive. When it came to loaning money to the banks, the interest rate was much lower. It's about 0.75%.
You mean 7.5%, right?
No, 0.75%.
That's lower.
So Elizabeth Warren was outraged at that, and she essentially said to the Education Department and the Obama administration that we should absolutely loan the money to students at a similar rate as we do to the banks, because we are investing in the future of this country. I don't even think that that's a radical idea, but of course, politicians thought it was radical and they didn't take her seriously. It drives me absolutely nuts to see how little we respect the institution of education in the U.S. And I get it. People are upset at higher education right now because of student loans, but it's important. When you look at education and how it's supposed to be the great equalizer, it's really the only thing that can pull people out of poverty, right? But we're making it less and less obtainable to people who are born in disadvantaged situations. And it scares me. Now, the Education Department and student loan contractors have done the following. These are some of the issues that people have with the debt collectors. They've misled borrowers about their rights, violated federal consumer law, improperly applied borrowers' monthly payments to their outstanding debts, ignored borrowers' requests for relief, that they're entitled to under law. Now, roughly 41 million Americans have student loans, the second largest source of household debt after home mortgages. And just to give you the numbers that I promised you earlier on in the story, the Education Department owns or guarantees nearly $1.2 trillion in student loans and has been generating tens of billions of dollars in profit off those loans over the last several years. Why do you think that is? It's because of the high interest rates. The Government Accountability Office said last year that it had found around 105,000 borrowers receiving federal disability benefits whose checks were reduced in 2013 in order to repay defaulted student loans.
Yeah. Look, as you were saying, like you need in many different career fields, you have to have that degree. Like this is not something that should be aspirational. It's not something that is totally optional. It's like we effectively have indentured servitude, but instead of a ship taking you from England to the U.S. or necessary tools and an apprenticeship that you have to pay for and then repay over the course of your life, you have to take $10 or $20 or $30 or $40,000 in these student loans just to get like the base level you need to get into a starting level job in so many different career fields. And we have set this system, and we have tolerated this system. And unfortunately, the politicians who are in charge of it, they're still living in the frame of mind like Ron Paul or whoever was saying, you know, back in my day, I just had a part-time job, and that's how I paid for my college. Yeah, because your college cost $32 a semester. It was fairly easy to pay for it then. It's not the situation anymore. We can't tolerate this any longer. We effectively are creating a situation where we have quasi-slavery for students.
It's depressing. It's one of the topics that I'm most passionate about. Education should be a right.